Hello, this is Taylor Elwood with Indie Author Business Success, and today's video is going to be all about how to create category ads on Amazon. And I'm going to walk you through why you would even want to put together a category ad and what the benefit is of having a category ad versus a keyword ad or an ASIN ad. So real brief, let's talk about what a category ad is. A category ad basically is an ad that you're using where you're basically advertising to specific categories that your books fall into. And what's really useful about a category ad is that it can be a good way to hit across those categories if you don't know all the keywords that you want to be using, or even if you do know keywords and you like keyword ads, you want to try a different type of ad out. A category ad can be really helpful. I would say in particular that category ads are also helpful in foreign markets where you may not know like what keywords to automatically use. A category ad can actually be more helpful in that sense. If you know the categories, it's easier to get that information. And in fact, in a previous video, I talked about how to actually go about getting categories for international markets. If you're just joining me on here, make sure you click the subscribe button and the bell notification in YouTube, so that way you can get more videos like these and check out the videos on categories. In fact, I'll just go here. As you'll recall, this is kind of my category document that I have here, and I include it for my nonfiction, both the esoteric and the author nonfiction, and then I also have it for my fiction. So far, for my zombie apocalypse fiction, I've got to do my superhero fiction still, and I'm going to do that soon. But the benefit of this is that by being able to see all these different categories, if I decide to create a category ad, like in the German market, I know which categories to look for. And because I've already contacted Amazon and told them what categories my ad should go into, it actually makes it easier to create a category ad as well, as I'm going to show you here in a moment. So as I said, I like category ads because you can use keyword ads in international markets. Like I have a keyword ad in my German market. It's not doing that great. If you look down here, and I'm just going to scroll this down, this is my keyword ad here. And I've had a sales of 3071 and spend of 3815. I'm actually not making money on this ad at this point. The reason I haven't shut it off yet is because I want to see how things go. I've included some English terms for keywords, but I've also used German terms. That in and of itself can be a little tricky, and we're not going to get into that right now. I'll do that in a future video where I talk about how to create keyword ads for international markets. But suffice to say that if you look in contrast to the other ads, which all of which are category, two of those ads are doing great. This one, the STM cat ad, hasn't had any sales yet, but we'll see. I mean, it's early. I literally only started it 3 days ago. I'm going to give it time, but the Center Alchemy category, I've already had 3 ads, and the sales, it does exceed the spend. It's not great in terms of average cost of sales, but I'm willing to give it a little bit of time. This one, which has been running since January of 2020, is doing pretty good overall. There's not a ton of sales on it, but it's been one of those cases where it's been a steady it's been a steady profitable ad, even though it hasn't had a ton of sales. That's the one thing you have to remember, is that in my experience with category ads, it seems like category ads aren't necessarily as fast as keyword ads, but that's not a bad thing. Part of the thing we want to be thinking about with our keyword or with our Amazon ad strategy is that slow and steady wins the game. If you have a great ad that, maybe it's only bringing in a couple sales a month, but the average, the ACOS is good, and when you look at the overall return on advertising spend and you see that it's profitable even for that, then you can be like, well, that's not such a bad idea. Let's take a look at the Inner Alchemy category ad. In fact, this is again in the German market, and what we're going to see here in a moment is it's taking its sweet time, because that's just the nature of things. is that when we come over here, we have it for an ad group 1. I'm going to click on that, and ad group 1 is going to be for 2 books. Now, with international markets, you do get the benefit of being able to add multiple books to your ads. I'm currently experimenting with that to see how it goes, and I'm kind of on the fence about it as of yet. In this case, as we can see, I've got 2 different books. This one so far has not had a sale. This one has had 3 sales. So, okay, that's pretty good. Now, I could turn off one of these and just focus on the other, but this one, because there hasn't been too much spend yet, I'm just going to leave it as it is. I'm going to go to targeting. And in the case of targeting, what we're going to see here are the particular categories that are being hit. And in each case, the bid is significantly higher than what the actual range is. I don't find that necessarily hurts. In this case, we see that I did turn off one, which was the meditation in Führung and Tekinen ad one, because it was just spending a lot of money and not going anywhere. The other ones are doing all right. This one isn't like great under Hexen and McGee, but we'll see what happens with it. With your own categories, you want to be thinking the same thing, whether it's fiction or nonfiction. You want to be thinking like, what are my categories? And ideally, you've contacted Amazon already and gotten your books into multiple categories, because you really want them. You want them to be in relevant categories, mind you, but you do want them to be there. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and create a category ad here. I'm going to do it for my zombie apocalypse fiction series, and we'll see what kind of categories come up when I do. Again, in this case, what we're going to do is we're going to hit multiple books, because I think for the purpose of this, it's kind of ideal to promote the entire series. And again, and also because I'm just curious to see what happens when I try to promote the entire series as opposed to the other thing. So let's go ahead and do this. And as always with international ones, you only get to choose the sponsored products. You don't get the lock screen ads, which really aren't that useful anyway, in my opinion. Okay, so we are going to go ahead and call this one ZACC cat ad. And I'll date it by 11/10/20, so that way I know what it's about. Give it a thing of $50, and like, look, like with whenever you set your daily budget, like, don't freak about that, because really the ads usually don't even come close to spending that. You have to work really hard to get Amazon to spend that much money. I've always found. We're going to go with manual targeting. And in this case, you see here how like you have like right now they have this. I think it's a new feature. They haven't, for whatever reason, they don't have it. They all have these as out of stock, but I think that they'll improve on that eventually. Let's hope so anyway. But for right now, what we're going to do is we're going to just scroll down here. Okay, there's Secret Missions. There's Rebels. 2 of the books in the series. Let's go down here a little bit further. Okay, and then we've got this one. And I could, if I want, I mean, yeah, why not? I'm going to go ahead and add the Zombie Apocalypse convenience store, which is part of the series. So there we go. There's 3. I think this one is the Rebels, and I think because it's in a pre-order, it's probably not available yet. So now what we're going to do, we're not going to do keywords. Instead, we're going to do product targeting. And we're going to go down here, and as you can see, it already has seven targets. In this case, what we're going to do is we're going to target that one. We're going to target that one. We'll target this one, and we'll target this one. We're not going to target comics because it's not a comic book. I don't know why they think it is. And then let's go over here to our thing, and we can actually go in and say, okay, I want dystopia, science fiction, and genetic engineering. So let's do a thing where we're going to search for like dystopia. And this is why, incidentally, you want to have this kind of awareness of the categories. This just becomes a lot easier in terms of finding stuff. Let's do post-apocalyptic, because then when you're creating a category ad, it becomes a lot easier to actually find like what you're looking for in terms of those actual categories. And you don't even have to have it like in German. You can do like what I'm doing here, where you're just kind of like, all right, I'm going to go ahead and type in, the English equivalent. It'll still pull it up. This is why, like with your foreign markets, your international ones, you want to know what the categories are if possible. Okay, genetic engineering didn't pull up on that one. We're not going to stress about it. So now we've got these in here. I'm going to go ahead and click launch campaign, and there we go. Now we've got an international category ad for the Zombie Apocalypse Call Center series, and that's a way for me to then get that out to people that might want to read it in the German market. Now, you want to keep in mind that, I mean, when you do international markets, they're not going to necessarily be as great as the American market. I mean, the truth of the matter is that Amazon is like, an 800-pound gorilla in the US, and in other countries, not so much. It doesn't mean you shouldn't still try. It just means you have to be aware of the fact that you're not going to necessarily hit all of those categories. I'm going to do the same thing over in the UK market, just because I think, again, it's a useful thing to illustrate this. And we'll see here again, I've got, these are, like over here, these are keywords, STM Foundations, Magic of Writing, Inner Alchemy, and the ZACC series. These are all keywords. Right now, these ones don't look like they're doing that great, but again, I've only been running them for a little while, and the thing you have to keep in mind whenever you run ads is that you have to be willing to spend some money in order to make money. That can be a little frightening for people. They can get a little weird about it, and I recommend, like, if you are already used to doing ads, you'll kind of be comfortable with it. But there's always going to be a learning curve. We're going to go ahead and we're going to create a campaign. I am going to, okay, thank you, finally. And we are going to look at it at category ads in the US market as well. I just want to show it in international markets. And the reason why I want to show it in international markets first is because, like I said, I think that category ads actually, so far to me, seem to be the best ads that I run. I have had some success in the UK market with keyword ads, more so than like in the other markets, but I find that, and I think that part of that's just because, well, English speakers. But all that said, I still find that it's not that great. Whereas with the category ads, I think they do better. All right, we're gonna do 50. Targeting again. And let's do this. We're going to go ahead and just pick a few books from here. And again, we see the series here, but because it's out of stock, even though it's really not out of stock, I don't know why that is quite yet. I think, again, it's a new feature, and they're probably going to update that because they are making some changes lately. In this case, what we're doing is we're just going to grab a few books from here. And process of magic. Perfect. So we're going to grab 3. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and do product targeting again. I'm not going to do keyword. And so again, we have these 8 targets right here. And so we can go ahead and we're going to click on those. We're going to click on those. Yeah, why not? Let's just see what happens. Mysticism, New Age, right? And then what I'm going to do, though, is I'm going to type in, I'm going to do a search again. I'm going to type in, in this case, witchcraft. Okay, and so there's a couple more that I can target there. And we're going to target shamanism. So right there, I mean, these again are categories. I'm going to change the default to 30 cents on this one. Well, 30 pence or whatever it is. I don't know. But you know what? Yeah. There we go. And again, we're going to go ahead and launch this, and then we'll see what happens in the next few days. I'll definitely report in, but really, what I'm trying to show you here is, I mean, this is a very viable way for you to go about making ads that are that don't even necessarily cost as much. I mean, I first cut my teeth on Amazon ad with category ads because I was like, with keywords, I was overwhelmed. If you do need help with keywords, I would recommend watching one of the previous videos in this series that I've been doing on keywords, because I talk about how to do that. But in any case, the key thing here for you to know is that like yes, you can do this and make it very viable. And again, for the sake of argument, I'm going to do the same thing with the zombie apocalypse thing. I do recommend that when you do category ads, like, make sure you've already got your categories filled out. Like, I'm going to do the superhero fiction. I'm going to update them soon, and I'm probably in the next week or so, just because I'm busy with a book launch right now, so it's kind of like not the most important thing, but I definitely need to get it done. But I would say that really what stands out to me, like with that, is like, if I chose to do it now, I don't know that the categories would be as good as if I choose to set up category ads after the fact, after I've updated it, because I do think that Amazon looks at like the categories that you've basically put them into for browse purposes, and it basically is like, well, yeah, that makes sense, or whatever. It makes it a little bit easier to find this stuff. Again, we're just going to put 50 in targeting. Fun times, I tell you. We're going to add that one. We're going to scroll down here. Rebels, secret missions. I'll admit that, like, going about this particular approach right now, where I'm kind of hitting all of them, is a little bit interesting for me to do. I'm not going to hit the zombie apocalypse convenience store on this one. And see, look here, this time I've got like 17 suggestions. So, and again, probably part of that is again, because I've gotten stuff placed in these different categories. We're going to go with dark fantasy horror. And you don't have to hit all of them up. I mean, I'm not going to necessarily hit action, adventure, romance fiction. I could, but I don't think I will. Yeah, let's see here. Horror. I'm going to go with dystopian. And then there's call center management, which, like, I would seriously kind of find funny to target, but I won't, because it's just not accurate. Okay, so now we've got these. And again, I'm going to change this to, we're going to change this to 30 because I think I can get away with it. We'll see. If not, I'll go back up to 50. You can always adjust them afterwards. The same like what you would normally do with keyword ads, where you just go in and adjust them. So right there, again, we'll see how the category ads do versus the keyword ad, because I do have a keyword ad running right now for the zombie apocalypse series as well. And, again, hopefully they'll do well. Now, you might be like, wow, man, I mean, you seem to be running a lot of ads. You seem pretty blasé about it. And like, if you don't have like a huge budget, you might be like, well, what should I even really do this? And my answer to that is one, you should have a few books out already. Like, at least like 2 or 3 books out, in a series or something like that, before you really start trying to cut your teeth on Amazon ads or any kind of advertising. But you do, and there is a learning curve. Like, I can point you to like Publisher Rocket, which is a great tool to use, and there's an affiliate link below. In terms of finding like keywords and categories and stuff like that. It's a great tool. Highly recommend it. I use it all the time. That's how I came up with the different categories. It helped me to like find a lot of those. But at the end of the day, you still really can't cut the corners. You have to just go and do the work yourself, and you have to keep track of stuff. One of the things that I do is I keep track of my return on spending. And again, I cover this in a previous video, so go check that out. But the reason why I do that is because it's really important to, understand, like, okay, I have to keep track of this stuff. Like I literally, one of the first things I do before I even start writing is I go and I look at my ads, and I'm like, how are my ads doing today? Are they working or not? Because if I don't know how those ads are doing, it doesn't really make much sense for me to continue on. All right, we're there. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to get out of here real quick, and I'm going to go to Amazon advertising, and we're going to look at setting up a category ad on here. Now, on the U.S. market, I find the keyword ads work better. Really, I don't do category ads very often on the U.S. market, and the reason why is because I think this is where like Amazon is the 800-pound gorilla, and it's it's just a lot easier to hit stuff up. But we're going to go ahead and again, most of these ads are doing pretty good. These are all keyword ads right now. We're going to go ahead and of course with them you can only choose one product. That's the difference between the U.S. market and the Amazon or the other market, the international markets, where you can choose multiple. For the international, for the U.S., you can only choose one. It's kind of interesting to me to see the differences between the international and the U.S. markets, because I think like you kind of look at it and you're like, well, why is that? And best guess, we're gonna do indie author success cat ad, because that's for my recent book that I came out with. I'll throw $100 on that. Again, I'm not like worried it's gonna even come close to spending. And I'll go with custom text ad. Yeah, why not? I actually do like writing copy for mine. Okay, so here we are, indie author business success. This is my business book that I've written on the first one in the series, which is basically how to create the foundations for your business. And what we're going to do here is we only have like time management, so not great. Now I have gotten the categories expanded on this, so kind of have to look at that and see what's going on there, because normally they are. But if we do, let's just say writing, and we do like writing, research, and publishing, that would be a good category to hit. If we do writing reference, that's going to be a good one to hit. And let's go down here. We could do fiction writing, because that, like, fiction writing reference is probably what I would go with, because again, you have a lot of fiction writers that are going to want help with that. We could do business writing skills, creative writing. Again, these are all things that you should ideally be like, well, like, we're going to go ahead and do publishing as well. These are all category ads where they should fit the categories that you're in. Here you get publishing. Yeah, that's not going to work. Let's try self-publishing. This is kind of the limitations you see too, like with this, like so we do have like book publishing industry. We can do book publishing reference. So we got a couple, but you can kind of see the limitations here at the same time of these ads. I'm going to change this to like 40. But again, I mean, this is another way to create those ads, and a useful way to do it. So we're going to go ahead in here, and I'm going to just say, learn how to create a self-publishing business, from your writing. Full time. I'm going to do that full time because people like that. I'm going to create from your writing. Boom. Very simple. I mean, that's really what it boils down to. Like, this is what, and then we go ahead and we click launch campaign, and it's done. So, that's one of the differences again with Amazon ads, is that you can do you can also do the custom text with the US ads. Okay, so that's kind of our category ad and how to set those up. And I wanted to share that with you guys today in Indie Author Business Success. Next week, I'm going to do another video on ASINs and how to create ads for those. And I'm going to tell you why I don't think those are really the best type of ads, even though a really awesome author that I highly respect would disagree with me. But we're going to talk about that next week. All right, take care, guys, and continue rocking your indie author business.